Welcome to the Gospel-Centered Education Podcast. Today, we are going to continue our Alumni Voices series with Miss Erin Collier.
You are listening to the Gospel-Centered Education Podcast, brought to you by Community Christian School in Tallahassee, Florida.
Hello and welcome to the Gospel-Centered Education Podcast. I'm your fill-in host today, Kelly Allen. Tom could not make it with us today, but he's excited to be back next week as we continue our alumni series. Today, we have a very special guest, Miss Erin Collier. She graduated in the class of 2021 here at CCS. And Erin, you studied mechanical engineering at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. And what year did you graduate there?
I just graduated last 2025.
Awesome. Congratulations. Okay, so after you graduated in mechanical engineering, what did you then go into?
So I switched fields just a little bit, and I'm in civil engineering, and I work in wastewater conveyance.
Okay, what exactly is that?
It's not exactly the prettiest job, but when you flush the toilet, we make sure that it gets where it needs to go. So it's a lot of design of water infrastructure.
Oh my goodness. So what inspired you to pursue mechanical engineering?
Actually, it was one of my teachers in 7th grade at CCS. She was encouraging me to read, and she gave me this book series. And the main character was burned in a fire, but it was in a futuristic society, and they were able to help her survive with a lot of engineered tissue and kind of prosthetics. And so that sparked my interest into engineering.
Wow, that's so interesting because, we don't go, we kind of give you an outline of what the questions are going to be, but I don't know what the answers are going to be. And I'm always so fascinated to learn, that just how much CCS inspires our former students.
Yes.
And who would have known that something like that would inspire you into mechanical engineering as a 7th grader?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's so interesting. So in what ways, as you grew older, did CCS challenge you academically?
Well, even on a personal level, like my 7th grade English teacher, just encouraging me to read extracurricular. Miss Bauk, once I got into high school, or Dr. Bauk, was able to encourage me to push myself in her biology class, her calculus class. And she was a really big inspiration. And also her classes were some of the most difficult in high school, but I benefited greatly from them.
Yeah, so I guess it's kind of cool as a parent to hear you say that you were challenged by your curriculum in your classes, but as a student, how did you feel going through those challenges?
When you're in high school, school is all you know, and so you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But looking back, I just really appreciate the foundation that I was able to build academically. I think leaving CCS and going into a school where there were a lot of different students coming from all over the place, I was very grateful for my education, and I was set up really well and very blessed to have such a good education.
That's so interesting because we interviewed Erin Kieser last week, and she said the same thing. She felt like she was more prepared than her other classmates in college. So that's so cool to hear you say that. So what classes do you think have been the most helpful in the field that you're working in today?
From CCS or?
Yes,
outside?
From CCS. Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Definitely Calculus 1 with Dr. Bauk. That set me up very well. Engineering is all based on physics and calculus. And calculus in college was a breeze because of her classes.
Wow.
And so now I'm just able to use that in my day-to-day job, not necessarily the calculus, but understanding, problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that engineering relies on heavily.
Wow. So when my kids are struggling with their homework, I should quote you and say, it helps you in the long run.
Yes, and Dr. Bauk and the other teachers at CCS are some of the best that you're going to get. So
That's
enjoy it
so
while you're
great.
at it.
And we're not paying you for this, right? Like, this is just your thoughts, right? That's so
No, they
great.
actually care.
Great to
So
hear. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about God's calling on your life. Are you able to kind of, like, what did you learn at CCS about God's calling on your life? And are you able to apply that to where you're working today?
yeah, absolutely. I am a firm believer that God can use you wherever you are.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I was able to hear God's calling on my life from an early age, from high school, especially with our leadership program. Vision Quest, you get not necessarily dropped off in the woods, but you feel like you were dropped off in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And that time is set for you to be in prayer and be seeking God's calling. And so during that time, I felt I got a lot of clarification on how God was going to use engineering. And I didn't know the specifics, but engineering can be used to help people every day.
Mm-hmm.
And my job, I get to help, especially the lower socioeconomic groups of people, with making sure that their quality of life is good, because sometimes they get forgotten by the city,
Mm.
and the taxpayer dollars don't necessarily always go to where they need it the most. But we're able to make sure that they have what they need.
Yeah, that's so great. Because a lot of people don't realize that you, in whatever occupation you choose, you can be working for the Lord. When we interviewed Miss Keyser last week, she's doing worship at her church. That's an obvious, oh yeah, she's in ministry, but you're in ministry also. And I think that's cool that you brought up the leadership program and Vision Quest kind of helped you realize that. Is there any other moments where you can think of at CCS where God showed you that He was working in your life, or that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think that during Vision Quest, him kind of laying the foundation for where I was going to go, what direction I needed to take. That was an obvious moment of where he was working. But just with the friends that I made at CCS, the classes, Bible class is kind of an obvious one, but having that time set aside daily to be able
Mm-hmm.
to understand what we believe, why we believe it, that
Mm.
has been really helpful for now, when I don't necessarily have that daily forced time to spend on that. I have a good foundation. And so I really think that I was very blessed to have God working in my life at such a young age, and I get to reap the benefits now and continue that work.
That's so great. So you mentioned the leadership program, and the leadership program really, we've talked about on the podcast, like helps you, like it forms you and forges you by, putting you through some hard things. Can you think of a time, like what lessons helped you navigate failure and setback and handle that maybe better than others?
Yeah, absolutely. We obviously all are not perfect, and we are going to fail. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily deal with that very well all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But again, during Vision Quest, we had that time, and we had to rely on God to help us get through this time where we feel very alone, and we feel like we have no resources. But that's kind of the point of it, is to force you to rely on God's strength, because yours is going to fail you daily. And so I guess a very specific example of that was, it was a little damp outside, and I was having trouble getting my fire to start, and it was dinner time, and I was ready to eat, but my fire just wouldn't start. And so I was getting frustrated and had to rely on, patience and strength from the Lord. So.
Wow. And I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but can you think of a time in your adult life now, and maybe in the work that you do now, that you were able to use the same lesson?
Yes. I think that in the workplace, you're often asked to do things that you're not necessarily comfortable with. And you're given, I like to look at it as opportunities to take on more responsibility and grow. And you have to, be confident in taking those opportunities, but know that, again, it's not you just taking those opportunities. Like, you have somebody fighting for you, you have God fighting for you, and that's more than we can ask for.
That's so good. That's so good, and so important to remember. So what do you wish current students knew about how CCS can impact their future?
Again, it's really hard when you're in high school to really understand the I guess, breadth of everything that you are blessed with at the time. So I don't know. I guess it's only after you get out of CCS do you really realize what a blessing it is. And sometimes it can, you're gonna have growing pains there. It's a very small school, but I think, once you get out, you're like, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah.
It's such a unique experience, because nowhere else has a leadership program that allows you to do the things that we do.
Right. So can you expound a little bit on the growing pains that you had at CCS?
Yes. So again, it's a very small environment, and so you really get to know the people that you're with. And so, I mean, these are some of the strongest friends that I have, but while you're there, you have some conflict, and you got to work it out because you're with those people for the next however many years.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I'm comparing this interview with our last interview, and we have a 10-year difference, right, between when Ms. Keyser graduated and when you graduated, and the school's grown, and so she was saying that she appreciated the individual education. Did you still find that you kind of had your teacher's attention? They were able to instruct you individually, as well as instruct the whole class, but also tailor to your needs as well. Did you see that still? And it's okay if not.
Absolutely.
I just was wondering. Yeah,
no, definitely did. It was probably not as individual as Miss Geezer's class was, because I think she had 4 or so in her class.
I'm not sure how many graduated in her class, but it wasn't very many.
Yes, but I definitely still received the same individual time. Like I said, my English teacher in 7th grade knew me specifically enough to suggest a book series that she thought that I would like.
Isn't that interesting?
And it ended up being life-changing. So that's a pretty unique and individual experience. And even into high school, I had the opportunity to take a college course for research during the same time that I was attending CCS. And I had to be late for a class a week for 5 weeks or something. And they were able to accommodate that. So I feel like they met all of my entire class's individual needs very well. So
That's so cool. That's so cool to know. And it's honestly been my experience with my children too. Even beyond academics, just counseling my kids or praying for my kids. Did you ever experience that, where teachers would just step aside and, mentor you in different ways?
yes, I still meet with Dr. Bauk every once in a while when I come back home to visit. She's, again, been a huge inspiration in my life. And Mrs. Eller as well. She was teaching English at the time that I was in high school, and she would step outside with all of the girls in the class if needed, and was very good for us to talk to when we needed.
That's so great. That's so great to hear. So is there any other lessons or experiences from CCS that you haven't mentioned that you kind of carry with you today?
I think all of the leadership program, I know we've mentioned it a few times, but all of the learning to serve others, I have taken with me into the workplace. And even when I'm not, necessarily named a leader, you're not always in the leadership position in the room, but you're still serving and showing others, setting an example of what good leadership looks like, and it doesn't go unnoticed.
That's good. Can you expound a little bit more on the leadership program for those who may not know what it is?
Yes. So the leadership program is it lasts all 4 years of high school, and I think now is going even into middle school, which is very exciting. But it uses the outdoors as a classroom to teach leadership and a lot of values that come with that. And so when you start high school, you are broken up into different groups and you work together as teams to accomplish different things. And we learn land nav, survival skills, all of the things, go camping. But through those activities, we learn how to teach others, we learn how to set the example. And it's a unique way to learn leadership, but very effective.
So I think, a lot of times when kids are getting into the leadership program at CCS, they think, I don't want to be an expert camper. I don't even like being
don't
outside.
Like bugs, don't like the heat.
Yeah, I don't like any of that. And then why are we doing this? But I think, today you've really shown that you can take those lessons from what you learned in leadership and use them today. Is there any other lessons that you learned from the leadership program or even at CCS that you do carry with you today? We talked about, how you maybe deal with conflict and how you, the lead to serve aspect. Is there anything else that you would want to mention before we end our time together about CCS?
Sure. I mean, I try to use everything that I learned in the leadership program, whether it's communication, servant leadership, and using those things when I'm interacting with a lot of clients at work or the contractors that we work with, just setting up good communication habits, following up with them, and serving. I guess, trying to serve people, meet their needs, and build relationships and not just treat it as work. And I think a lot of those things came from the leadership program and CCS.
So I have a funny story. My daughter's in the leadership program now. And so I had volunteered for, I think it was Vision Quest. I don't even know what it was called, but it was when they do drop you off in the woods. Yes. And I know that's not what it is because there's a lot of training involved that goes up to that. But it was so funny for me as a parent. I didn't grow up like that. I didn't have that training. And to see what these kids were able to do was just so impressive to me because I was so unprepared.
It's
But those kids took
mind-blowing.
care not only of my needs, but they took care of their needs, and they made their campsite just actually pretty cool looking. Made their dinner, made me dinner. It was just so cool to see even my daughter, blossom in that way. Because it was something that I didn't have the knowledge to teach her, but it's something that, CCS comes alongside parents and is able to, teach my kid things that I don't even know, So yeah. I love hearing how CCS has impacted you, how gospel-centered education has impacted you, and how you take it into your adult life and are able to flourish right now.
It's a huge part of, I think, the leadership program is pushing people outside of their comfort zone so that you have to rely on God and the skills that you're learning in your leadership. And I also love to hear all of the different stories of people just coming out of their shell and really flourishing in those environments. Like my friends from high school, they did not like sweating, did not like the bugs, were not fans as freshmen, but then leaving as seniors, that was the thing that they were going to miss the most, was the leadership program and having those opportunities to excel.
That's so great. Because life's hard, right? And we have to learn how to push through it, right?
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, it's been such a blessing talking with you today. Thank you so much for meeting with me and for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. And we hope to see you next time as we continue our alumni series. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Gospel Centered Education Podcast, brought to you by Community Christian School in Tallahassee, Florida. You can find us online at myccs.org.